I will say there's one thing this week that has kind of disappointed me, though. And it's ultimately how they've handled Muse's story. Daredevil's not meant to be able to sense him.
Yeah, so clearly they just changed that. I'm not sure I agree with that decision.
Yeah. I feel like it would have been way more interesting of a Muse storyline to include that. You know, when they're in the barn and he gets slammed on the table and the camera's like above. Apparently, the crew and like the director or whatever they wanted it to be a stunt double and they were gonna film it low from the ground and have a stunt double. Alan Richards was like, "No, I'm doing it. The camera should be above, and it should be on me to show me get thrown through a table." And they're like, "No, you're going to get killed doing that. This is a serious stunt." And he's like, "No, I am doing it." He was knocked out for a day and a half.
The Chairs, as
The
it
famous
will forever be
Chairs,
known,
yeah.
got 275 million live views. And welcome to episode 156 of Cutscene Combos. We've got a crazy episode this week. We've got a character profile on White Tiger. We've got the finale of Reacher. We've got, what is it, episode 7 of Daredevil. Yep. We'll be discussing some changes coming to the old cutscene. Soon TM. And as always, we've got the Nerd News Network. But for all that good stuff, Horizontal, how's your week been?
My week has been a weird one. Mentally. I mean, it's pretty well shared, I feel, at this point, that I've been like job hunting and doing portfolio stuff over the last since the start of this year. So I've gone and got myself a job. This job hunting is so much easier than people make it. No, I'm joking.
Like, just get a job, like, so easy.
The wild thing is, like, this job, like, I found out about it, got it within the space of 2 weeks? No, a week.
Yeah,
no, within a week of when I found out about it, I'd had an interview or video call interview and got it, which was not expected.
I remember you said you're like, I'm just doing this interview for like interview prep. I don't think I'm going to get it at all.
That was all it was meant to be. The call I was expecting was like, I'd been told in the first one, like, oh, after this, if you get through, you go to like an in-person interview. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be a call going either, sorry, you're not successful, or can you come in? And I'm like, yeah, no, got the job. I was like, oh, stun lock.
Just so chatted out of your mind.
Yeah. And like, in that sense, feels like it was really fucking easy. But then when I think about it, I'm like, nah, I've been applying to jobs for like the best part of nearly 6 months. So
yeah, I feel like for a long time, in my opinion anyway, when it came to like job hunting, you would get at least some kind of interview for basically anything you applied for, which could sometimes make it feel like it's taking longer. Whereas now you just get ignored by 95% of people. So it doesn't feel like it's like you don't feel like you're doing as much because you're not interacting as much. You're just filling out hundreds of job applications and then you get a response from maybe 5% if you're fucking lucky.
What's even better is like, I was using Glassdoor, which will pull jobs off Indeed and stuff, but like you can upload your CV. It will do like the app, like there's a quick button. I was spamming those like quick apply buttons. So, because it's like you say, you either get ghosted or you get some automated reply. So I'm like, fuck you, I'm not going to give you any more effort than you give me. So,
yeah.
But yeah, managed to get myself a job, which leans into some of the, like, by chance, some changes to the pod were coming anyway, but it's kind of all timed up together. But
yeah, it's lined up like weirdly well.
Yeah. It's
like creepy.
We're just that good at this. But yeah, that kind of completely changed this last week for me. And then other than that, just been smashing the gym. I'm so sore today. Like everything is hurting other than my back. Like arms, biceps, triceps, shoulders, legs. I'm just aching. And I'm like, I may have overdone it slightly. Just a little this week.
A little bit.
But yeah, I mean, overall, great week for me.
Yeah, you've killed it.
Yeah, how's your week been?
My week's not too bad. So obviously I'm doing the couch to 5K in preparation for the 10K. Which I know sounds fucking weird, but it is what it is. Basically, it's
Makes
just
sense.
learn to run is what the couch to 5K
Well, yeah,
actually is.
it's building up running stamina.
Exactly. And this week was like one of the big jumps in like the plan.
timings.
So every week they up it. So last week, week 3, was 90-second run, 3-minute run, 90-second run, 3-minute run. And in between each run, you walk for as long as you just ran. And then this week was 3-minute run, 90-second walk, 5-minute run, 2.5-minute walk, 3-minute run, 90-second walk, 5-minute run.
There was many years ago, I want to say before I'd gone to uni when I was doing gym back then, and I did running for a bit, and I started doing the couch to 5K. I think it was around this week that I stopped doing couch to 5K and realized I don't enjoy running.
So this was Monday, and obviously on Saturday I went for my Saturday morning run, which was the previous week, and was easier. But then I'd spent the entire day tearing my setup apart, putting the new setup together.
Yeah.
Then Sunday I didn't get much done. It was Mother's Day. It was pretty chill. But because I hadn't done much, my muscles were all like, okay, rest mode. So then it comes to work Monday and I'm sitting in my office and I get up as I'm ready to leave work and my legs and my arms are just exhausted from where I've done not like any heavy activity, but just constant activity for like an entire day. So I'm like, this is not going to be fun. But I managed to get it done. The endorphins of finishing something. I think I said it last week. I hate running. Running is dog shit. It's the worst thing in the world. However, finishing a run and knowing that I beat something as the competitive motherfucker that I am really gets me pumped. So like, I'll be like, I don't know if I can do it. I'll finish it. Sarah Millican will be in my ear going, "You did it," and I'll be like, "Fuck yeah, I did!" All of a sudden, all my energy will be back. The adrenaline just from completing a thing is hilarious. But yeah, other than that, it's not been too bad. Me and Jenna have booked a trip to Portugal, which we're very excited for. So we've been going to watch the Arsenal ladies play a lot this season, and they're currently in the semi-final of the Champions League. We're going to the first leg of that in 3 weekends time. And if they can get through the semi-final, they'll be going obviously to the final, which is being held in Lisbon, Portugal. So we decided we'd take the risk and book it in advance. Worst case scenario, we'll go watch the Champions League final and have a lovely couple of days in Portugal. Best case scenario, we'll get to be there to watch our team win a Champions League trophy. So any excuse to go somewhere nice in all honesty.
I haven't been to Lisbon, but I've been to Portugal once, and it was very nice.
The big thing is I have like 2 styles of holidays I like to do. I like to do all-inclusive for like a week, and I just don't want to have to do a thing. Don't plan any activities. I'll be by the pool. I'll be having siestas. Leave me alone. And then I've got like city break holidays where I expect to be busy every second of every day. And the problem with city break like holidays is you've got to have stuff to do. So finding an event we want to attend in a city that's nice is like, right, that is the cornerstone of what we're doing. And then we can find stuff to do around it and it'll make it busy. But I've also booked the rest of the week after that off. So we'll get back from Portugal on the bank holiday Monday. And then I've just got the rest of the week to just big chill, have a great time. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, that's me. Should we get into some character profile?
I think we should.
Awesome. So our character profile this week is on White Tiger. I'll be honest, I wrote and rewrote this character profile about 3 times. Because I wasn't sure which White Tiger to do it on.
Oh, okay, fair.
So in the end, we stuck on Hector Ayala, as I thought it made the most sense.
Yep.
Hector Ayala was born in Puerto Rico, where he lived mostly happily. Eventually, his family decided to try and seek new and better opportunities, and they moved to New York City, where they settled in Harlem. One day, Hector stumbled upon the White Tiger amulet. Upon inspecting this, Hector was granted incredible speed, strength, durability, agility, stamina, and control of his senses as he became the White Tiger. However, when he awoke the next day, he found himself feeling nauseous and he couldn't really remember anything after picking up the amulet. It was only when he was then questioned by the police about his involvement in a murder the night before the amulet once again kicked in and allowed him to escape the police. He would go on to discover, while he was there for the murder, he didn't commit the murder, and actually he was trying to help when someone else panicked and opened fire, killing the man. Hector went on to be a pillar for the Hispanic community in Harlem, fighting to protect them and inspire them to do great things. As he became a more experienced hero, he worked closely with the likes of Luke Cage, Danny Rand, and Spider-Man, offering them help in any way he could, and he also served as a member of the Defenders and the Avengers. One night, after a fight with his wife, Hector was out patrolling when he saw two people running away from a pawn shop they'd just robbed, and in the process of robbing it, they'd murdered a police officer. When the police arrived shortly after, they fingered Hector for the crime and charged him. His friends, Luke Cage and Danny Rand, organised for the law firm Nelson and Murdoch to take on his case. Matthew Murdoch put together a compelling defence for Hector and even had other heroes like Reed Richards, Doctor Strange, Jessica Jones act as character witnesses for Hector. However, when the prosecution targeted Hector's financial and marital instabilities, he snapped at the DA, causing the jury to see him incorrectly as a violent man. The jury returned a guilty verdict, and in a moment of desperation, Hector attempted to flee the court, resulting in him being gunned down by the police. Many months later, Matthew Murdoch was able to locate the real killers and retroactively clear Hector Ayala's name and somewhat restore the image of the White Tiger. I didn't realise how far back the White Tiger as a character existed.
Oh, okay.
My first knowledge of the White Tiger was in the, albeit quite poor, Spider-Man cartoon of like 2012, where Spider-Man was teamed up with a bunch of other young superheroes at school and they were like a team. And it was like him, Ava, Ayala, Luke Cage, and Danny Rand all essentially went to school together and they were like a team of heroes.
Right.
And that was the first time I got introduced to the White Tiger as a character. Obviously, in Daredevil Born Again, Ava is introduced as his niece. But ironically, she's his sister in the comics.
Right.
And her niece is the White Tiger before her. So in the comics, it goes Hector, his daughter, then back to Ava.
Got you.
But they've kind of skipped that out, I assume, to make it a bit more streamlined. But I don't know what the exact idea there is. But I imagine it was to make her a younger hero and have Hector be a bit more established. But he's an interesting character nonetheless. And it's interesting to see the parallels between how he was...
yeah, they followed a very similar story.
Very, very similar. I think they just focused a bit more on like a police corruption side of it, rather than a mistaken identity and the police not wanting to do their job properly to find the real culprit instead.
Yeah, and the things though, like they used other cops as character things because obviously they don't have all those heroes to lean on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a very interesting character. The Reacher finale.
We got our big gunfight and
Many
final
guns.
fight. The length of that Paulie fight, was kind of wild yet amazing at the same time.
That motherfucker just didn't die.
Oh, both of them. I loved, like, the moment we got, obviously, we knew, we're like, oh, Reacher's not going to die to this being hung.
There was a moment where Jenna was like, she turned to me, she was like, they're not going to kill Reacher, right? I was like, well, we know there's a season 4, but it could be a prequel.
So in my head, I'm like, oh, in my head, I'm like, come on, Richard, you just do the thing where like you pull yourself above it to take the tension off. And I was like, scrapping that, someone finds him, and like just in the nick of time. But like the whole like freeing himself and then he walks down post like this motherfucker. But then later on we get the flip again, but this time it's Paulie comes out the woods, because I was certain after
I
they
don't
were
know how he didn't die.
that fight in the water,
Intense.
how he didn't, because obviously like he chopped him in the neck, which
Yeah.
I think the way it could make, like my logic in it is like, oh, that's when like it makes it so you can't breathe. So then in a way he didn't breathe in water. And also he's just a big motherfucker. Like it really did help sell this whole thing of like he is bigger and stronger than Reacher. Like
Oh yeah, they didn't build him up and then just have Reacher dismantle him or anything silly like that. They made it so Reacher was. I loved like a similar point to where he comes out of the water after him. He keeps on trying to run to get back to the house, and he's like, I just can't do it. I have nothing left.
He's fucked. Like they are both exhausted. The LMG finally coming into play.
Chekhov's LMG.
Yeah. Fucking brutal way for Paulie to die.
It kind of makes sense. It was like the only way to kill him off without undoing the threat that he was as a character.
It allowed them to, like you say, it didn't ruin this whole build-up of like he is bigger and stronger than Reacher, and we've been shown that multiple times. And now we've just watched Reacher basically most of this fight get pummeled.
And Reacher didn't fight, he just survived.
Yeah, Reacher survived, and he says like, I'm smarter than you. Like, and it did. It came down to he is smarter. So this is like a tangent, but the way the gun exploded, like it blew up on his neck or whatever. There's a YouTube channel, I forget the name of it now, but it was like a video that trended a while back of this guy who shot a Barrett 50 cal and it exploded.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it had like, and I remember watching it. It was something like there was a malfunction. Oh no, there was something with the ammo he'd got from a third party,
and it wasn't high quality enough.
Yeah, there was some malfunction within the barrel, and it like he shoots and it full on explodes, and it like slit all down his neck, and he survived. Like he survived, but like he said,
more by luck than judgment.
Yeah, he said like an inch to the left or something, I'm dead. Like, so it's like when I saw that happen, I was like, oh, this is what would have happened.
Yeah,
for real. And then the bit with the shotguns when he's in.
I love Reach just so exhausted. He's like, shotgun, I'm just gonna start blowing people away. I don't have time for this shit.
Well, yeah, like, at first I was like, oh, he's gonna like there's some AR-15s or whatever in there, like just take one of them. And then he's like digging around, like, oh, he's checking to see like what's in the boxes. Something. I always thought he was like seeing what was being sold or trying to get it better. And then he's just like, shotgun, starts loading ammo, shoves some in his pocket. And then as soon as these guys are coming up to the door, he's just like, well, fuck. And just fucking doesn't give him a moment.
The shot as he's walking down to the house from the barn, reloading it, there's a really cool kind of action movie vibe to that shot.
Yes. As soon as he had the shotgun, okay,
we've had the really like intense physical fight. Now it is a dude mows through hordes of unnamed henchmen with shotgun and making things look easy again.
Did you see the fun fact that he got KO'd during that fight with Paulie?
Oh, did he? Did he actually get knocked out while filming it?
So, you know when they're in the barn and he gets slammed on the table and the camera's like above? He apparently the crew and like the director or whatever they wanted it to be a stunt double, and they were gonna film it low from the ground and have a stunt double. And he was like, Alan Richards was like, no, I'm doing it. The camera should be above and it should be on me to show me get thrown through a table. And they're like, no, you're going to get killed doing that. This is a serious stunt. And he's like, no, I am doing it. He was knocked out for a day and a half. Apparently. He said the scariest thing was waking up and having to tell his kids that, yeah, I'm fine, after just being, because they were on set that day.
Oh no.
Yeah, just watch dad get fucking knocked out. But props to, like, he said, we said it when the season was coming out, he'd said he wants to put more effort into the stunts and stuff. So
Yeah.
props to him.
There are many things you can say about any actor, and that is no exception of Alan Richardson. But one thing I will never let anyone fault him on is his commitment to the character and doing the best job he can in whatever context that is.
Well,
and that really shines in this season.
And the fact he used to be a stunt double.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just funny to me that he used to do this stuff, but because he is now the main actor, they're like, no, you can't do this.
It's hilarious. Like, and again, this isn't a dig at Alan Richardson at all. Like, I have no issue with people using stunt doubles. Of course, there's always a bit of aura around actors who don't. Like Tom Cruise does have a bit of an aura for just like, I'm just going to strap myself to a plane because I'm Tom fucking Cruise. It's no surprise that about 10 years ago, Jackie Chan stopped being able to get insurance for stunts because they were like, Jackie Chan is worth too much money and he does too much stupid shit. We can't cover that.
Yeah, it's like, he's broken every bone in his body at least twice. Like, we're not paying out anymore.
No, we can't afford to. He's killing us.
But yeah, that whole fight scene was so well done.
Yeah, phenomenal episode. I enjoyed the kind of juxtaposition, we'll use big English words, of like the brutal, obvious fist fight that was going on between Paulie and Reacher, while you have like a stealth operation going on in the house.
Yes.
Because it gets your adrenaline pumping in completely different ways, right? With the Reacher fight, you're just watching these blows land, you're like, fucking hell. And then it cuts back to the house, and you're just like, it's so intense because you're watching everyone creep around, and you're like, oh god, please don't blow the cover, please don't blow the cover. No. It's creating the same kind of dread and anxiety, but in completely different ways. And jumping backwards and forwards, it makes it feel like you're on a roller coaster.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And I think there's also then the added thing of like, we're watching them fight, and we're like, if they make too much noise, like someone's gonna then hear, and that could alert it, and like, and then the same the other way around. Like, yeah, the tension was being built really well.
I enjoyed the bathroom fight scene between
the FBI guy,
the DEA dude, and the random security guard, because he's gone in there, and I'm like, oh, this could be bad, and he's got him. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure I'm not a police officer, surprisingly. Why doesn't he get him to turn around and face the window at any point though? Because as a human, right, when you're watching someone, you see when their gaze averts, and you know when you have a chance.
Yeah.
Like, I would never have the balls to probably dive at someone with a gun, but I'd at least, in my head, I'd be like, that would have been the best time to go.
I think
if you turn them around, then like if they go to turn, at least you give yourself like a second to back the gun up. No, stay the fuck away from me.
I think Reacher and some of the others would have done that. I think the whole, because we've kind of repeatedly been shown that he is the older guy close to retirement. He is definitely he's said
too
many
old
times,
for this shit.
I'm in over my head. Like, I shouldn't be doing this stuff anymore. Like the whole thing with driving the lorry is like, yeah, I said my brother-in-law drives lorries, and I'm about. Oh no, I used to sit in with my uncle or whatever. It's like,
yeah, when I was a kid, I watched my uncle do this. Yeah, that is my experience.
Yeah, so I think that's the whole thing of like, he's in way over his head with this whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that fight was quite. I liked that the son then heard it and came to investigate with a gun and just finds him like,
what are you doing?
Yeah, he's like, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm coming to save you. Oh yeah, doing a great job of that. I really enjoy, like we talked about it last week with the way the moment between the dad and the son. The dad using the toy gun to kind of to save the son, essentially. Obviously, unfortunately, it went wrong for him.
Fortunately, it was the most obvious part of the episode. The second, I can't remember exactly what moment it was, but there was a point where you see the dad hears the gunshots and he starts looking for the son. And at that point, I turned to him. I was like, he's dead. He's gonna either get himself killed looking for Richard, or he's gonna sacrifice himself to save Richard. It's gonna be one of the two. It is what it is. And then the second Richard bumps into McCabe, I'm like, oh,
Yes.
he is so gonna get himself killed saving his son here.
Yeah.
But Richard is a fucking moron. After his dad gets shot, he does the smart thing. He goes to the gun. But instead of even lining up the shot, he just points it in the general direction and pulls the fucking trigger. Doesn't even get close to him.
That shows...
We've played a lot of video games together. We have watched each other with a lot of shots.
Yeah,
Some of the worst whiffage I've ever seen.
I knew straight away when there was an Uzi in play, and I was like, he's going to end up grabbing this, and he's going to just spray everywhere. Because this whole season, we've been sold on he's a scrawny kid, doesn't know how to stand up for himself, can't even like stand properly in a fight when Reacher was trying to train him. Like, he has been nowhere near any of this stuff. So it's like, as soon as that, I was like, oh, this is going to go wrong. And yeah, it was just a straight to the ceiling. I mean,
random party goes are in more trouble than McCabe when he pulled that trigger.
Yeah. I enjoyed the little standoff Reach had with the Russians to get Quinn back.
Yeah.
Like the Russian guy speaks Russian and Reacher just replies in Russian. It's like, oh, yeah, Reacher's been around.
Reacher's just the most deadpan way ever. He's like, I understand you've got a job to do, you need to bring him back. It's not going to happen, though. He's mine.
Yeah, I also have unfinished business.
You know, like, when you go to, like a fast food restaurant, right, and they're like, get your order wrong. And you're just like, I understand that you have a job to do, and that, like, you didn't mean to fuck up my food, but I need you to fix this, because I'm not leaving here without the right food.
Yeah. And then,
that's what it was. He didn't have any ill will towards the Russian. He's like, you're just not taking
like, I have no issue with
mine.
you, but I'm having Quinn. And then Neagley just backs him up with a grenade, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
It's so funny. I love this because you can take it one of two ways. But like, obviously, you've got the DEA dude and the DEA lady. Their faces are like fuck. Russians are like the fuck, and Reach's expression doesn't change. And you can take that as he knows Neagley wouldn't actually pull a grenade, so it must be safe, or he's like, Neagley knows what she's doing. I completely trust her.
Yeah.
Either way, it's still hilarious that she pulls a grenade. He's like, other than her, he's in the most danger to that grenade because he's the closest to it after her, and he like doesn't even flinch. He's like, "Yeah, there's a grenade. And what?"
Yeah, no,
I just fought a literal human giant. What do you want?
He's
from me?
just like, oh, Neagley's just backing me up in a way. Like he's like respectable. And in my head, I'm like, oh, she's just going to put the pin in at the end. Like, this is surely going to go well. I wasn't actually expecting it to be a duff. Like,
I thought it was a dud. I was like, this could really be a dud here.
No, I fully expected it to be like legit, and it'd just be they'd get Quinn back, and the Russians would leave, and they'd be like, oh well, I can't get the pin in. She just yeets it, and it actually explodes or something. And then Rich goes, wait, that was real.
That would have been very funny, in all fairness.
The way I loved, and we kind of predicted this would happen, but like him mentioning his ex
Dominique,
her name, like making everything suddenly click for Quinn, just so he can see on his face that he's like remembered everything, and then he blows his head off. And
this is. Yeah, Quinn's evil enough that I can say it's completely morally okay to just blow his head off. But I love that for Reacher, it wasn't about torturing Quinn. It wasn't about like getting even. It was just like, you were supposed to be dead. I'm just putting you in the state you should have been in for the last 10 years.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm not taking any joy in this. Yeah, I'm not taking any joy in the fact that I'm killing you. It's not. Oh, I need to get revenge because you killed. It's no, you were supposed to be dead. I'm rectifying it. Like Reacher in this moment is almost acting like the like in like Final Destination. It's like, you should have been dead. I'm not doing this to torture you. I'm just righting a wrong.
Yeah, no, he's like, I made a mistake thinking you were dead. I'm fixing my mistake.
That's on me. I'll hold my hand up for that. I fucked up, but we're gonna fix it. Me and you together.
But yeah, I mean, the whole final fight was great, as we kind of expected. The sun got away fine. The only thing that I'd guessed that we didn't get was I thought we'd get a thing with him and the older maid lady, like her having some snarky comment
Yeah,
to
I'm
him.
surprised we didn't see like anything from her at the end.
I wouldn't have. They could have. Yeah, they could have done a thing right at the end of her like cleaning up the or something. She's like,
Literally, her in the kitchen, just like sweeping glass out of the way. Just go, what a mess.
I like Rachel walks in with his boots on, and she's like, the house is just trashed.
Yeah, pool of blood in the kitchen before he blew that guy to pieces in the kitchen. She's like, muddy boots, really?
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I'd say this season definitely felt like a better than season 2, in my opinion. The fights were a huge step up.
Absolutely. I prefer slightly like the more die-hardy vibe of this season, with it being a lot more bottled into a specific area, less like traveling constantly, less big city shenanigans.
Yeah.
And by doing that, it allowed them to focus in on some elements I really enjoyed. I think I probably preferred season 2. I'm excited for season 4, which has obviously already been greenlit before season 3 even came out, which is brilliant news. So yeah, I'm really interested to see where this goes. Going back to a bit of nerdy news from last week about Amazon being in the running. Oh no, Amazon not yet being in the running, but we said they should get themselves in the running for Jason Bourne.
Oh yeah.
Alan Ritchson could do a Jason Bourne.
Imagine Amazon does get it. It's like, so we're getting Reacher, Alan Richardson, Jason Bourne, Alan Richardson. Give him Bond. just purely for the fact of like we get every range of him as.
Which any time there's a man who needs to do violence to save any amount of people, Alan Ritchson's Amazon's dude.
Pretty much. I mean,
but yeah, I think we're both pretty happy with season 3. We're both excited for season 4. Alan Ritchson's done a great job, and I'm excited to see kind of how long they can keep this show at the quality it's at. Is this like normally a lot of like high intensity action shows like this don't really survive past 5 or 6 seasons at like good quality?
They have the power creep issue of like after 5 seasons of this, you're like, okay, but either it starts to feel just the same or you start getting a bit too crazy with it.
But however, there is 29 full-length Reacher novels.
I mean, there you go then, 29 seasons.
So like they have a lot of material that's been tried and tested, and they know works.
If they do a good job of it, this could be. I know, like they're not the most amazing shows, and they're definitely a different genre here. So stick with me. But like the CSI, like NCIS, those series of shows where there was a bit of action and stuff in them sometimes.
So
like
this is the thing. Anything with like any kind of policey action that gets more than 7 seasons is normally like a procedural show.
Yeah.
And like episodes wise, it does like 10 million times a minute, because it's normally 24 episode seasons, and they do like 12 seasons. They do like 200 fucking episodes. Reach has done what? 25 episodes now? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
And it's just, what the problem is, this style of TV has not been around, and not necessarily actually a bad thing, but it's not been around long enough to see a show stay good for a long time.
Yeah, I mean,
because like one bad episode in like season 5 of like NCIS, right?
Yeah,
is
gets forgotten.
1 in 100 episodes.
Yeah.
One bad episode in the middle of season 5 of Reacher is 1 in 50 episodes.
Yeah.
Literally same amount of bad episodes, but twice the amount, if that makes sense, that's there to digest. So each bad episode hurts the show a bit more, especially when procedural TV was so successful for so long. I am curious to see if this is the show that proves you can do 10 seasons of 8 episodes a season that are good quality until the end.
Yeah. I'll have to wait and see.
Born Again.
Yes, speaking of good quality shows, episode 7.
Yes. Quite an aggressive pace change.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were almost straight in with Matt in the suit.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's like I'm glad. This was something I really enjoyed. Like, I'm glad we're we're kind of like Matt has fully jumped back into the suit. Like, I was a little worried. We've had this build up. Last week we got him suit up because he's like, oh fuck it, I'm gonna go deal with this myself. I was like, is he gonna now second guess himself and be like, I shouldn't have got back in the suit? Um, like, and then we have this whole thing of like he's fighting with himself of like if he should keep suiting up. Instead, it's like, no, we're fully back in as Daredevil, and if anything, a more brutal Daredevil. It feels.
I don't know if that was just because he felt he was the only one who could deal with Muse, though, and maybe now he'll go back to this kind of, oh, should I, shouldn't I? I'm.
Maybe.
There are definitely. I don't think it's as bad as people on the internet would say. I definitely feel like you can see sometimes what was pre-reshoots and post-reshoots with like the creative changes. There's
Yeah.
parts that like just feel like that bank episode, although it was good. That where it starts feels a little off compared to what had happened in the episodes before. There wasn't like a natural flow, if that makes sense. It wasn't a bad thing. It was like, oh, he's just going to the bank. We'd established in the previous episode he needed to go to the bank soon, so it
Yeah.
wasn't completely out of pocket. But it cut any build up or anything. It was just he is in the bank and shit's about to go wrong. Not a bad thing, but it just makes, I think, sometimes what's kept versus what's new a bit obvious.
Yeah, and I've noticed that, and there's been a couple of times where like I've noticed that's definitely like ADR where they've changed how a line has probably been said or something, because of like context. Maybe it's changed. I mean, I will say there's one thing this week that has kind of disappointed me though,
Okay.
and it's ultimately how they've handled Muse's story.
Okay.
We talked about it last week. We loved how creepy Muse was. We loved this opportunity that they could have of having a running villain here, and then they've killed him off.
So I'm going to give a bit of copium,
Okay.
just a teeny bit. We spotted what's his face, who is Muse, in like the second episode, and we're like, oh, he's creepy as fuck. He's definitely Muse. People are speculating
He's not Muse.
that because he's a rich boy and he feels like an artist and he's a bit twisted, he's a copycat, and the real Muse is still going to be out there somewhere. And the real Muse is just going to use this to go a little bit quiet for a little while, and then maybe he's going to appear near the end of the season with another painting, and we're going to be like, oh shit, that wasn't really Muse. And I'm not saying I love it, but if you do that right, it can work.
It can. I do think it's just a stretch.
I need Marvel to stop killing off villains. I understand like the biggest problem in like the comic book style of storytelling is why doesn't Batman just kill Joker? And yeah, Batman won't kill Joker because he's against murder. At some point, the Gotham, when they've arrested Joker, has to push for the death penalty, right? Like, and I do get that, right? Like, if there was someone who's that deranged and dangerous as like a Joker level threat, eventually, even if in that state, the death penalty wasn't valid, someone would go, can we just have like a mini referendum and we'll let people vote on whether we should execute this dude?
Yeah.
Like, let's make it a public decision. And I get that. But the reason comic book can't do that is purely because these characters are needed. You can make an interesting reason for your heroes not killing off their villains, like they do with Batman and Daredevil and Spider-Man and things like that. But you can't just have villains dying constantly because then you run out of good villains.
Yeah.
So how do you fix that? You let them stay alive, which is, and like when you do kill them off, they end up coming back 3 or 4 years later through some weird comic booky bullshit. Problem is, Marvel doesn't want to do the weird comic booky bullshit of people never really die.
Yep.
So they can't kill them off. But they keep killing them off anyway.
So I also, this is just out of like my theory on why Marvel also does this, or why they keep killing things off, because they've learned, or the response they've ever had of leaving something open-ended, they get bombarded for years of like, where's this person? What's happened to this? Why have we not seen this again? And like, obviously, that to a level, I imagine for the MCU of trying to have this like story, like people constantly being like, oh well, this person that still exists because you haven't got rid of him should have been here in our opinion. It's like they're cutting all that off because they're like, well, he's dead.
Yeah.
Something else that like I didn't mention last week because I kind of gave them benefit of the doubt, but I remember from when you did the Muse character profile, Daredevil's not meant to be able to sense him.
Yeah, so clearly they just changed that to make him operate a bit differently, make him a little bit less freakishly supernatural.
Yeah, but
I'm not sure I agree with that decision.
Yeah. I feel like it would have been way more interesting of a Muse storyline to include that, which also would have, but then that would have meant they can't kill him off in the second time we've seen him. So
that has given me another theory.
Thing to copium.
No, this copium is good copium, though.
Okay.
Like, bearing in mind how quickly I've pulled this together, well thought out. In the Netflix Daredevil series, you have Madame Gao, who is an operator of the hand. She's one of the fingers of the hand.
Yes.
She helps run the Black Sky Project, which resurrects Elektra and brings her back from the dead, which makes her undetectable to Matt. Madame Gao hates Fisk. At this point, she should anyway, still. What if she brings Muse back to fuck with Fisk, and that gives him his kind of can't be detected weird bullshit? It makes him even creepier because he like loses his identity of the person he was before.
Yeah.
He is just Muse.
Yeah.
There was a non-zero option, and I'm not against that because then it does the comic booky thing of no one stays dead unless you physically burn the body and stay there until it's ashes. You cannot be sure anyone is dead.
I'd much rather that than them just be like, psych, that was a copycat. Like at least like you say, it brings in that also him potentially having the ability of like can't be sensed. It's just, to me, that's a cool thing. And if the first thing that forces Daredevil back is then someone he can't sense, would have been an interesting watch, especially with the show, with how they've been showing visually with the camera aspect ratios of like him focusing in on stuff. Like they could have done stuff like that and him then be like, and then it sort of show his confusion of like, oh, we can tell he's trying to focus in, but he's not getting anything.
Yeah, I do wonder if part of the reason they weren't too desperate to do that is because they obviously had the similar thing in the Netflix series when he was fighting hand soldiers and he couldn't sense them. So like stick them was like focus on their weapons, not on them, and use their weapons to work out where they are. So I don't know if they're like, oh, if we do that, people will just say we're copying Netflix, or possibly if they just didn't particularly care about that for some reason. I don't know why that decision was made. I don't know if that was something that was left behind from the previous creative team and they couldn't fix easily.
Well, yeah, this is my like we know that some stuff has had to be kept and some they've not. Like I wonder if they had to kill off Muse for whatever the storyline is, so they couldn't make Muse a harder fight because then that drags it out longer, and then they can't. Like I can get it with that way. It's just this is the first thing that like I feel like I kind of wish they'd handled Muse in a better way, but
I think that is a completely fair feeling.
Yeah, it's one of those.
What I will say on the sense of right now, they're kind of scrapping stuff together, and they're doing a brilliant job stitching essentially two different shows together. Apparently, these last two episodes were 100% done just by the new creative team. So
That
they
makes
didn't in these
sense.
last two episodes. They don't have anything they have to
Include.
work with. It's just from where the story is now is all them. So these last two episodes and season 2, as far as the people of the internet have pieced together, should just be the current creative team, which will finally, I think, give us a better idea of okay, what can we expect from Daredevil TV show going forward. And it looks like we're starting to boil towards this kind of task force versus the world.
Yeah. While we also saw Daredevil back, we are seeing Kingpin back. Like,
absolutely.
This jumping to the end, but that final scene when Vanessa sends the text of like he's alone at this address to the Irish guy, I forget his name. I was like, I don't believe that she's selling out Fisk. In my head, I was like, she's setting up the Irish guy because he's no longer loyal. Of which obviously
definitely left there to kind of have people squabbling, hasn't it? It's like, no, she's turning on him versus no, this is like their weird kind of way to show love for each other. She's a little bit upset they can't be criminals anymore. So he's like, oh, let's do something evil and conniving together. How romantic.
Well, and I also think it shows that she still respects what he's trying to achieve, because they obviously have some plan that we haven't been like they'd previously talked about. Because at the start of this, when he's like, I finally got the votes, it's obviously something they've planned in the past. But then
Red Hook,
him there eating his meal, I was like, oh, is the Irish? I was like, oh, Irish guy's gonna walk in and sit down opposite him with a gun or something, and like basically goad him a bit and be like, this is it, you finally, it's time for a change of management.
Fisk's gonna rip his arms off and beat him with his own arms type vibe.
Yeah, instead it was cold as fuck. He's just eating his thing, and as soon as the guy whips his gun out, it's tap to the head, and he just goes, thank you, Michael, or whatever it is, I forget his name.
Puck.
Thank you, Puck.
Yeah.
Just like,
I'm
so ice cold.
No matter which creative team it came from, I'm not just going to assess all the good things to the new creative team and all the bad things on the old team. I don't know where it started, but the way they have put together the Matthew and Kingpin becoming Daredevil and Kingpin again, and the symmetry there, and Kingpin gaining weight and his suit's like ripping slightly, and some of that like good old fashioned English visual storytelling. Like, this is the kind of stuff that, like, when you're like reading a book in school and they're teaching, they're like, they made the room blue to show the person is sad type shit. That, like, you feel like, oh, this doesn't actually happen when people write stories. This is happening in this show. We're literally seeing that, not just in the way it's written, but like the way shots are put together. Like last week, we both loved like the head bashing cut, match cut, and all that coming together is telling a really compelling and well written story. And I'm really loving that. I'm not saying it's perfect. This show definitely has its flaws, but my God, them flaws are so minuscule in my opinion compared to the victories we're getting with some of the character storytelling and the action, that I'm just like, this show overall is so much better than it is poor.
Yeah, and like the little flaws were like, you can tell stuff from the old direction and the new direction being merged. Like, that's just, unfortunately, that is part and parcel of the situation we ended up with.
Yeah.
And
I don't think most people do it as well as they've managed.
No. And at the end of the day, be glad we're getting a show that did completely like go in the correct direction. Like, this could have been a lot worse. But yeah, the whole mirroring has been great. And like, obviously we got to see the task force used. That's clearly going to build up. I'm interested to see how this goes for Fisk and Matt, because obviously we got some of those audio lines played again of like, I'll use the fullest thing of the law if you go back to your ways as well. He knows Daredevil's back. It's clearly wound him up. He's making sure not to let on to the media that Daredevil was involved. The whole BB report thing.
Just able to execute him.
He wants full control over like dealing with him. I wonder if Fisk in his sort of like power trip thing is the sort of person to set up a meetup with Matt to have a sit down again and be like, so you're going to admit that you're back? And kind of be like, I'm going to give you this opportunity to admit to me that you've gone back to your old ways.
A scene coming up in one of the next 2 episodes where they're at like a charity event, haven't we? That's got Wilson and Vanessa and Matt and Heather. And I imagine we're going to get that kind of face-off at that charity event.
Well, and we're going to get the thing that I talked about, like what happens when Matt finds out that his new girlfriend's the therapist. Like, it's clearly going to be at that.
Yeah. So apparently there's some shots in some teaser footage of Fisk dancing with Heather and Matt dancing with Vanessa. So it's going to be like a weird...
That's going to be some high tensions.
If they've done as good a job writing that scene as they've done some of the other scenes, that could be cinema.
His Heather's also like clearly starting to catch on to something is up with Matt.
I'm not one to judge people, right? I don't know how your blind boyfriend who disappeared for most of the night comes home, gets in the shower, you see his ribs battered and bruised to fuck. You go to ask him what's wrong after you get in the shower with him. He just kisses you, and you're just like, "Yeah, fuck it. Everything else can wait."
Have you seen Charlie?
I'm a mere mortal, and I understand that Matthew Murdoch is a very attractive Catholic whore. However, if you care about someone, would you not be like, "Okay, let's just slow down for a second. What the fuck is happening here? Are you okay?"
Nah, man played the greatest reverse card in Uno ever. Just like, I reverse and distract you with just arousal.
What I will say is the conversation they had after when they're like getting ready, and she's like, "Why did you lie about it then?" He's like, "It's embarrassing." He's like a very honest reaction. Like if you do suffer from a disability, and as a result of that, sometimes you hurt yourself in what could be considered silly ways. Because you're blind, you might bump into things and bruise your ribs and I mean, I bump into tables all the fucking time and I can see completely fine. And it's embarrassing. Like when someone goes, "Oh, why are you limping?" "Oh, I walked into a table." That's embarrassing. It is, because like there is just that, "Oh, walk around the table." It's completely believable for a blind dude to be like, it's embarrassing when you're trying to be seen as like a competent adult and lawyer to admit you've got a bruised rib because you fell over walking. But at the same time, surely she goes, you don't bruise yourself that badly from bumping into something.
It's also like,
what did you bump into?
The other level of it as well is like, he's like, "Oh, there's a lot of trauma and I'm struggling to hold it down." It's like, you're saying that to a therapist. Surely you know she's then going to be like, "Yeah, because you need to talk about it." Like, you can't kind of lie about what's going on through like, "Oh, it's trauma and I'm just struggling at the moment," to a therapist.
She will therapize you.
Yeah, you're basically being like, "Help me," is essentially what you're saying, even though you don't want her to. So yeah, there's going to be that level of also her remembering that Daredevil said her name is another. I do think she's going to figure it out.
I think she's going to die. I think Bullseye's going to kill her.
I don't know about that. Does Fisk kill her?
Maybe.
Does something happen?
I'm fearful for Heather.
Like, she's going to be in between two people who have threatened each other if they go back to their old ways, who have both gone back to their old ways. Only one knows at the moment.
Yeah, and she has a duty of care to both. One as a girlfriend, one as a therapist.
Yeah. There's potentially some that, or
shenanigans.
She's gonna essentially just be like, I'm done, I'm leaving, I'm out of here.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if she just goes, "Matt, you're clearly lying to me, I'm done with this shit, goodbye."
Yeah.
Which is completely fair if someone's clearly lying to you and they're not going to be honest with you. But definitely interested to see where the show goes. These last 2 episodes are going to be amazing. We know we've got a bit more Punisher to come. This Task Force story's heating up.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to get any major conclusions before the end of the season.
No.
We know the second season is currently filming. And while this won't make it into the news, I will just add there's been some set photo leaks of him in a new suit for season 2. We finally got the D's, baby.
Oh,
We
that's
finally
where
got
that's
the
come
D's.
from.
Yeah, we got the
saw
D's on
that.
his chest. This motherfucker's gonna be. We're gonna get an actual superhero with the actual goddamn logo where it should be. No longer will we look at Daredevil on TV and go, "Why nothing here?"
I saw those because someone else pointed out like it looks like they've been painted on.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to be homage to the Back in Black suit, but I don't know much about that arc.
Right. I mean, yeah, I'm intrigued to see how this season wraps up. I think
Absolutely.
it will wrap up with them like essentially both being back in their ways and knowing the others back in their ways.
It's going to leave us on a cliffhanger, I imagine. So yeah, interesting for sure. We have been doing this podcast for
almost
2 years.
3.5. No, it's 3 years.
Yeah.
It's almost 3.5.
Yeah, the channel was created December 21.
So like
and the first
another
episode
month or
was
so.
January 22.
So
we've been doing it for a long time. Yeah, 156 episodes.
Yeah, as you're watching.
We've evolved in that time. We've done different things.
Yeah.
The only thing that I believe has been since the very first episode is character profiles.
Maybe not the first episode, but definitely early on. Because those first few were on your phone, weren't video.
Yeah. Did we? I have to double check now. I have to know. Actually, wait. I've got the character profiles in here. Character profiles.
But yeah, we have evolved a lot over 3 years. Like I said,
the first one was episode 2. There was not one in the very first episode.
Because you were recorded on your phone, audio, no video. Then we started doing video off your phone.
Then we finally got the PC.
Yeah, we started doing more segments, covering more shows.
Mm-hmm. Initially, this was just Marvel and DC.
Yeah, then I squirmed in Star Wars.
Yeah, and then the fucking doors got blown off, and that's whatever we want to watch.
Well, it was Star Wars, and that was fine. That all made sense. And then Rings of Power came around, and I was like, thoughts on covering Rings of Power because Lord of the Rings. And then that's kind of when the doors then blew off because it was just everything and anything. It still is mainly Marvel.
Of course,
DC,
that is the bulk of what we cover because it's the stuff that releases the most stuff in reality.
Yeah, to be fair.
But I think 150 episodes in, we've now got a good idea of what does and doesn't work, what we enjoy doing.
Also it's just we've done the same formats of stuff for at least 2 years now. There comes a point where it's like we kind of need a little bit of change to keep this enjoyable.
100%. It's a lot of work to do. The way we're currently doing it. It's a lot of editing for you. It's a lot of this is what I would consider a quiet week this week, and we still had an hour and a half TV to watch specifically for this, as well as keeping up with CinemaCon, and this is absolutely one of the quietest weeks we could possibly have. We've had weeks before where we've got 6 hours of TV to watch specifically, and then it's not just watching the TV, it's remembering what happened, developing opinions about it, and it's a lot to do before you even get into the editing and the writing out the news and the character profiles and everything that goes into that.
Well, yeah, it's we've kind of, our attitude has always been from the get-go was kind of more so quantity over the quality, purely because that is how you launch content nowadays. People will try, yes, there are exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, often you need the quantity at the beginning to get things rolling. But I think we've been discussing things, and that you're gonna see these changes in we've got next week's episode, and then we're gonna have a couple weeks off.
Yeah.
Kind of ties in with me starting my new job, but that's just pure luck. But yeah, we're going to move more away from quantity and more towards quality. We want to
Yeah.
bump up the editing quality on some of the segments. So, like, for a rundown for the usual listeners, the podcast will still stay the same. It'll be every Saturday, 1 p.m. If anything, hopefully more of a relaxed chat,
Yeah.
which I think is what is enjoyed more on podcasts than the hard segments and the kind of hard jumps between topics. Because we did that because we wanted those topics to then turn into other videos. But yeah, we'll be moving down to at least 2 videos a week, maybe a third, depending on what's going on. The nerdy news will still be here, as always. We will also still have the character profiles. They're 2 things that we know everyone seems to love. They do great. And then that leaves us open to be a bit more loose on what we're watching. It'll still obviously all be mainly the same stuff.
Yeah.
And then if there's events on, like CinemaCon, or Comic-Con when we've covered that, or San Diego and stuff, we can have a bit more of a focus and put some videos out for that stuff. But I think the focus going forward is a little more loose on the actual episode and a little more quality on the segments through the week.
I think that's literally the best way to describe it. And especially, like, I know we've discussed it, not so much on the podcast, ironically, that I'm going back and trying to watch stuff that I've like missed out on from like last week or 2 weeks ago now. I managed to finally watch Good Will Hunting, which is like seen as a great film that I've never got around to watching. Now, if one of us sees a film in the week or whatever that we've really enjoyed and we want to talk about, it's going to fit a lot more organically into the way we're discussing what we're watching going forward. Another big change that comes along with the way we're kind of restructuring the episodes is when Josh comes on for his monthly kind of gaming segment, that is going to be basically
full on gaming,
a gaming episode rather than half of an episode is dedicated to gaming and it makes it a bit more muddled. It's going to be, right, we're gamers this week, let's do it.
Also makes it hopefully a little bit more digestible than like 3 hours of a podcast episode. We love Josh, but doing a full thing on gaming on top of like all the whatever shows and other things we were trying to do in a week.
Yeah. And we've been unlucky a few times where Josh's episode has landed on like a 3-episode double premiere week and shit like that. And it gets out of hand quickly. And that's kind of our fault for wanting to cover everything in such detail. And then not really hitting that top end of like 12 things you missed in Daredevil Born Again, episode 6. Like, we kind of got ourselves caught in this discussing it as a experience and detailed analysis, and we kind of got stuck in the middle of doing both instead of just committing to what we want to do.
Yeah, we're trying to achieve too many things out of one episode and then kind of making, like you say, landing in the middle point.
Exactly.
Go on.
We've also, I think, discussed, and this is definitely a bit further away, a Patreon type thing.
Yeah, that is something we've looked at.
And how we could add value there and make it worthwhile. So that's still things we're exploring. If anyone's got anything they're like, if you do this, that's all it would take for me to know that it's worth it for me, let us know down below. We're always looking out for things and listening for feedback. I think that's between us, one of our best traits is we're very good at looking at information and taking feedback from that information. But yeah, things are going to change. And I know you are convinced that these changes are all for the best and will, although we've been a very rigid format for a decent time now, we've always kept an eye on what's working and what hasn't and tried to tweak it accordingly. But I just think this is now a larger tweak. We've noticed that little tweaks have helped a bit. And now we're ready to kind of, them bits that did work, we're going a bit more full send on them. And the bits that haven't improved from the tweaks, we're like, right, that's done.
Yeah, and like, sometimes with content stuff, you've kind of just got to go, you know what, let's rock the boat and do, like, really change some things up. Because at the end of the day, if this does go terribly and everyone stops watching, we can always go back to what we were doing.
Exactly. Absolute worst case scenario, we can just go, right, we'll go back to doing it the way we were doing it before.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward
Awesome.
to this. So
Yeah, I think it's going to be good.
hopefully
I'm looking
the
forward to
listeners are
what we
too.
can pull off from that. And if it works that way a little bit more, it gives us the ability to try and do things differently.
Hmm.
If we find that by changing it, we're a lot less stressed and stuff's happening a lot quicker, it allows us to maybe try other things. Like I know me and you said when Split Fiction was announced, that could be a cool thing for like me and you to play together.
Yeah.
That not that it definitely will happen, but it gives room for us to consider stuff like that and go, do we have room to play that, and then whenever we're done with it, edit it up and turn it into a couple of videos? Maybe. Like it creates room for us to try different things if we're a bit more relaxed about what we're doing. But yeah, there you go. We like to keep people updated on what's going on.
We do.
Speaking of what's going on, nerdy news.
Yes.
It's been a bizarre week of news, in my opinion.
Yes.
I've never like felt myself like neck snap at news so many times, and then look at the news overall and be like, nothing really happened. It's a very weird one.
I know what you mean.
Starting at the top, Giancarlo Esposito has said in an interview of IGN at Fun Expo Cleveland that he'd love to join the DCU as Mr. Freeze.
My guy wants to get in all the superhero parts.
I think this is like a brilliant self-casting from him.
I don't hate it at all.
Like, of all the Batman villains, this isn't one I think most people would instantly go, oh, that's him over like 100%. But I see his vision.
Yeah, and like, we know DCU is going a bit more fantastical with their stuff. So like, it's going to be like a full-on Mr. Freeze. So
and can definitely, the way he acts and the way he talks, he can definitely bring across the passion of Mr. Freeze and the intelligence really well, I think.
I would agree there.
So I wouldn't be against this at all.
No.
The chairs, as
the
it
famous
will forever be
chairs,
known. Yeah. Got 275 million live views, making it an incredibly successful marketing stunt.
Yeah.
And in the couple of days post the chairs, based on tweets and comments from people involved, it looks like there are more stunts planned to reveal more cast members down the line. With rumours that people like Halle Berry don't currently have a contract signed, but negotiations are happening, which is why they couldn't be involved in this reveal. So it's a little bit scary that the film's already kind of under production and not everyone who's in the film has got their contract squared away. That's a little bit concerning. But we do have more stunts planned to reveal cast members by the looks of it.
We also know often in production can literally mean, oh, they've started building sets and stuff. Like, it can be as simple as that. I also, part of me does wonder, for any of the actors or actresses, agents that were maybe being a bit slower on negotiations, whether this also...
put a rocket up their ass.
Yeah, because let's be honest, if you're an ex-Marvel or Fox actress, you've just seen the internet lose their minds over who's got cashed. You're going to be on the phone to your agent and be like, I thought we had a contract for them. Like, how are we not locked in yet?
How's this not sorted yet? Have we missed the boat on this? What's going on? Yeah, very true.
So maybe they're using it as a bit of a negotiation tactic, just to help push along some of these things.
An odd one that seemed to just come out of nowhere, and this was announced before CinemaCon, and then kind of more information is going to or has already been given at CinemaCon. But Nintendo has announced they are doing a live-action Legend of Zelda movie, and it's due to release March 26, 2027. Video game films are always a bit scary.
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda does have quite a good universe for some storytelling to be done, I think.
Yeah. I'm always worried. I'm down for a Legend of Zelda movie. I think, like you said, the world has plenty there that they can tell stories in. My worry always with video game adaptations into films is when they say live action. It's
What
like,
do you mean?
yeah, it can work, but then you can have situations like Minecraft, uh, or the Detective Pikachu. I think was somewhat okay received, but it was like wasn't like an amazing Pokemon film because that was live action with like animated Pokemon around.
Yeah.
There's a world where this could be great. There's a world where this can come across really not great at all.
I think that is probably the fairest way to put this across.
Mm,
I think it's completely fair to be a bit apprehensive about any video game, what do you call it, adaptations to film and TV because very rarely has it been done well. But
yeah.
all of like the really good versions have happened closer to now than
Mm-hmm.
anything else. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
Sonic films have only
Yeah.
got better, and they've been the last few years. Fallout was a great success. The Last of Us show. So it's definitely time to be cautiously optimistic. I think it's not as doom and gloom. I feel like 10 years ago, if you saw
No.
your favourite game was being made into a film, you just went,
Oh God.
that's going to be
Yeah.
terrible. But still a little bit skeptical. And I do agree that live action, depending on what they mean by that,
Mm-hmm.
if they're going to try and do like the live action Lion King, which was still all just 100% CGI'd animals, if they're going to try and go that way, it could go wrong very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Now, this was an interesting story that happened in two parts, but I've put it together. Multiple major Hollywood studios had asked YouTube to redirect any money being generated from fake AI trailers to them
Mm.
so that they didn't have to copyright strike taking the videos down.
Mm.
However, YouTube has since just demonetized the videos instead. Now, this is a really interesting thing, and I think a lot of people look very surface at this and just go, okay, cool, whatever, and move on with their day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give YouTube a lot of credit here. I think they may have saved the day.
Oh no, I think
Because,
they made the correct decision.
and I think me and you are probably going to be on a similar page about this, studios rather just generating money from fake AI bullshit instead of copyright striking it for damaging their IP is actually terrifying. The notion that they don't mind AI generated slop as long as they get the money from it is a big problem. Any studio that would have just gone, anyone who posts any of our IP generated with AI needs to be banned. We want them gone. I would have had a lot more respect for them because they'd have been like, no, we don't play with AI like that. I think Hollywood studios wanted YouTube to go, yeah, okay, we'll just give you the money. Because by that stuff being out there, people become more accepting of it. Exposure breeds acceptance. It is that simple.
Mm.
And by being more accepting of it, people then won't kick up as big a fuss when studios try and really implement it. We've already got a big issue, as we've discussed for the last year and a bit, of studios trying to get rid of any AI protections for performers.
Yep.
Shout out YouTube. I think they've done the best they can in a difficult situation here and just gone, no, them videos are making no money. We're not giving it to anyone, to try and just stop the studios from thinking that this is the first sign of everyone just going, yeah, AI is fine.
So I agree with you, but I disagree on why I think YouTube did it. I don't think they have done it for the greater good of us and
I don't think
studios.
they've done it for the greater good. I think they've accidentally done the best thing they could have done.
I agree there. I think you're spot on with the idea that they're probably their thought process from the studio side of things is, if we allow this, we can make some money that in at surface level, if you take the AI stuff out of it, you're like, that kind of makes sense. If they're not like taking down any of these like fan-made things, that's actually quite a good thing. These people aren't getting like cease and desists, like if they're just making their own edit of a trailer or something. But like adding AI gets in messy. But I think you're right in the also thinking the angle of, oh, if we let this happen, more people see it, they get used to AI, which then means people are going to be less outraged when we start mentioning AI.
Exactly.
And they're playing a
I
long
think
game
that
there.
was their plan.
They're
Generate
also just
revenue and
probably
desensitize the
knew these
audience.
things were getting good views and were like, well, that's just money we can have. That I think they're also realizing there is money to be made from not just getting stuff taken down and getting the revenue sent to them instead, because they just want more money. I think YouTube made the decision purely off like, they know if they'd done this exception for studios and started implementing this opens the door to a whole new thing that they have to start like doing guidelines for, and what can be claimed to get, like, it opens a messy door that's already tricky enough with like copyright claims and stuff. Like YouTube's got pretty damn good at it. There is obviously times when they get it wrong, but they've got so much data to work with. Like, they do a pretty good job. If you start adding in things like, oh, studios want money from this, but then they don't want that to still be a thing, then it's like there's too many variables. You can't police that fairly. If they start, like, it gets complicated. So them just shutting it down keeps to what their standard is that they've been setting. They're not going to sway from that just because studios have asked for them to. But like you say,
like, the AI laws are so all over the place right now as well. When you generate something with AI, you don't own the copyright for it, because something generated by AI can't be copywritten in a lot of countries still.
Yeah, it's
so
weird.
It gets messy there anyway. So what's to stop someone seeing like a trend within AI engines, copywriting that thing in the real world, and then anytime an AI engine uses that kind of trend, they can claim all the videos, and it gets messy so fast.
Yeah.
I don't think YouTube have done, oh, we're going to be morally good on this, because they would just say no to AI generated videos if that was the case. They've just gone, this could get very bad very quickly, so we're just going to stop that.
They've gone as simply as like, no, this is already our policy. This is what we're doing. Like, we're not changing our policy just because you asked us to.
Exactly. Very, very interesting situation. I'll be curious to see if it develops any further.
Yeah.
Ryan Coogler was on Shannon Sharp's podcast, and he said that they've not finalised Denzel Washington's Black Panther 3 deal yet, but as long as he's interested, it will happen. Obviously, Denzel Washington accidentally leaked a few months ago now. Maybe it was the back end last year, I can't exactly remember, that he was going to be in Black Panther 3, which is a beautiful full circle moment. Obviously, Chadwick Boseman has always said that without Denzel Washington, he would never have been an actor and he would never have been the Black Panther. So it's a beautiful full circle moment we're going to get. As well as that, Denzel Washington is a generational talent. I'm very curious to see what he'll bring to a Marvel film. But just get the deal done, please. Get Black Panther 3 rolling. Get Denzel doing whatever Denzel's going to do in that film.
I feel like this is just PR training. Like, Denzel spoke way too early. Like, this is probably taking the normal amount of time to get this contract sorted. And then Ryan's probably been told, if they ask you a question about Denzel, this is the answer you have to give, so that we're not in any trouble if anything with this changes.
Yeah, like, major star.
It could literally be signed next week, but he'll have to say, we have not finalized. That's all he's allowed to say.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure it'll happen.
I really hope it does. Like when that news got leaked, I sent it to you. I was like, "Oh, that's exciting." So I'm very curious. It's one of the ones that I'm keeping a very close eye on. Gen V season 2, season 2. Date and trailer should be coming soon. The showrunner has said that it's basically all done. They're just finishing up some bits. They're very excited about it. They think it's better than season 1, and they're excited to show everyone what they've been working on. So hopefully we should have some information on that sooner rather than later.
I like how that's tied up with Reach is finished, so now they need to tease the next thing to get people to watch.
Some amazing news for just cinema. Coyote versus Acme was a film being made by Warner Brothers. Late last year, it got announced that despite being finished and test screenings being incredibly well received and everyone being very excited for it in that sphere, they were just going to shelve this film and never release it, and they were going to take the tax break from it. There was a lot of pushback from the internet, and they shopped it around a little bit, and then nothing came of it. So everyone was like, "Oh, the dream is dead." As of this week, the distribution rights and everything of Coyote vs. Acme has been sold by WBD to Ketchup Entertainment for $50 million. The film is going to get released. It's going to get a full worldwide theatrical release either later this year or early 2026, I think the report's currently saying. I'm going to make a demand of both of us now that when it eventually comes out, we go see it. I know it's not the kind of thing we'd probably normally see.
I was already going to go see it.
Knowing this film only needs to make $50 million for this company to make profit on something that was going to get shelved is the kind of bit of my heart that like hates capitalism, loves a little bit. The idea that WBD have paid to have this film made, they were going to shelve it, they've sold it for $50 million, and now another company could make huge profit if we all just go and see it.
Well, yeah,
it's brilliant.
It allows us to give a middle finger to Warner Brothers.
Literally. Stop shelving films.
After this got announced, some of the people that I'm guessing saw the test screening have like
a lot of people who worked on it as well were like, "Oh my god, thank you guys so much."
But there was a couple of like reviews of like the test screening and stuff that they'd said, and like the comments I've seen is like they were like, why have we forgotten to do this sort of 2D animation? Like, where is this? Like, apparently it's like, it is like the great 2D animation we loved back again. And it's like, why have we forgot about doing this sort of 2D animation? So like that immediately I was like, oh, I'm going to have to see this when it gets theatrical. Because it sounds like they've done a great job with this film.
Need, and if anyone knows of any like apps that exist that kind of do this already, please do let me know. I need an app that lets me know all films that are coming out with like a 2-line synopsis of like the idea of it and like a genre tag, so that I don't miss out on smaller films that don't have insane marketing budgets that I might be interested in, because it is like a full-time job keeping up with all the stuff that I know I'm interested in, let alone the stuff that I would go and see if I knew was coming out.
Yeah.
And I need an app that I can open. Like, go, I want to know when anything that is this kind of film is coming out, and where I'll be able to watch it. And you know me, I love the cinema. I'll go to the cinema fucking 4 days a week if I can. I don't give a shit. I'll do it. But yeah, very cool. Nice to see that when we put our minds to it, sometimes we can actually get something done. And now we need to reward Ketchup Entertainment by making that film gross like $600 million. And also, like, it sends the right message if Ketchup Entertainment can buy this film for $50 million, make $600 million. There's going to be a bunch of other companies who are like, what films can we save that people would like to see? Let's send the right message about how art should be handled.
Maybe Batgirl can be saved.
Imagine the scenes if it turns out Batgirl hasn't actually been deleted off the servers and we can save it.
Someone has, like, the editor has a copy of the final edit on his home PC that he refused to tell anyone about.
Nathan Fillion, who's of course been cast as Guy Gardner in Superman, has been confirmed to be making an appearance in the Lanterns TV show.
I mean, it makes sense.
It does make sense. I'm very curious about this because the vibe we've been told about from Lanterns is like a True Detective vibe. Which, of course, is going to be a bit weird because it's quite sci-fi inspired, being Green Lanterns.
Yeah.
So we're not 100% sure what the tone of that's going to be like, but we've already seen a bit of Superman, and we know the tone of that is different to what you'd expect from like a proper Midwestern detective show at the same time. So having our first, like, this is realistically probably going to be the first character we see in the DCU go between projects that might be tonally quite different and get to see how that's going to work. And I'm curious to see that. For me, that might be a like a Schrodinger's cat almost of is this idea of what they're going to do for the DCU alive or is it dead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it also
Right.
could just be that we're being completely blindsided what the vibe of Lanterns is going to be.
Yeah, maybe we've misunderstood what Lanterns is going to be like. Absolutely, that is another very possible option. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see for that.
Well.
I'm curious. I know people are a bit on the fence about Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. I'm not too much of a knower on the Guy Gardner lore. I don't know if it's good or bad casting. I will take him at face value in Superman, and then we'll see from there.
I heard it's going to go so well that you're going to get a bowl cut.
Imagine. We're going to do a little mini CinemaCon catch up, just talking about the big announcements and dates. Next week, once CinemaCon is fully finished, we'll do a proper in-depth look at what was discussed.
Yes.
The big news: Beyond the Spider-Verse, June 4th, 2027. There was a little bit of footage that apparently was mind-blowing and very different. They're working on new crazy animation styles for this film that have never been done before.
Yeah, so
take your time. If you have to delay a little while, we'll understand. This film needs to be perfect. Respect your artists.
According to what they said and showed, the reason this got pushed back so much to the date
was because it was never possibly going to be ready.
was because they've got new animation techniques. Which the funny thing I've seen people going like, what techniques have we not discovered already that they are like pushing to like how have we not reached max level of animation already? It's 2025, which I'm like, fair point, but
it would be like if someone went, I've discovered a new color, although scientists are adamant there's no more new colors. If someone was like, I have discovered a new color, everyone would be like, the fuck do you mean? I thought we finished that side quest as a species.
I bet it's like someone at the animation studio saw like someone's personal little animated short on YouTube that does something like really cool and like, we need to do that in a film, which is like usually would be too expensive, but they're like, we're doing it. The footage that was shown apparently showed Spot absorbing things, like basically engulfing everything, and that visual was apparently very fucking cool. So I think we're in for a treat.
We're big Spider-Verse believers on this channel. So getting a date for that, although this date will absolutely change because no date has ever stayed the same in the history of cinema, it's still exciting to know that it's actively being worked on and they think it's going to be ready in about 2 years. So hype. Spider-Man 4, MCU. Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Yes.
July 31st, July 31st, 2026. So that'll be about 2 months after Doomsday.
Ooh. Hadn't worked that one out. I saw Tom Holland has also commented saying, this is a fresh start.
Yes. There's a lot of things to be excited about. We'll go into a lot more detail next week, but the director is obviously the director of Shang-Chi.
Yep.
Which has people quite excited for maybe the action sequences. Tom Holland's been very clear this is a pretty fresh start. No one's officially said it because of the connotations, but it's believed to essentially be a soft reboot because I understand they maybe went a bit wrong with the idea of Spider-Man. Daniel has said that right now he's looking at the human and the failings of Spider-Man as a character. So maybe we go back to Peter Parker not being this perfect person and maybe being a bit flawed, which is a big issue people have had with Spider-Man in the last few years in media. It's exciting. I will discuss. I'm just going to tease this bit, but we'll discuss it in more detail next week. Obviously, the first trilogy was all about home. So people are trying to work out what word here might be the word for this trilogy because they're assuming there will be another one. People are assuming it's day, and that scares them. If you know, you know. We'll discuss it next week.
I would have also guessed day, but I don't know why that should scare me.
That's potentially quite scary. John Wick 5. I was right, motherfucker.
Yeah, I will hold my hands up. I was like, oh, we're not gonna get John Wick. Like that's sold out, like played out. But we know they're doing spin-offs.
Yeah,
and we did. We got the the ballerina one. They showed some.
Yeah, we
new
knew there
stuff
was going to be a lot of stuff about Ballerina because that's coming out soon. We predicted maybe they'll announce another spin-off. But I said maybe we'll get a John Wick 5. I've seen a lot of people already online going, I don't mind there being a John Wick 5, even though he died, but let's make it him fighting in the depths of
I
hell.
saw you quote tweet that because like I saw the announcement. I was like, oh, why? Why are we doing this? Just let the man rest. Like the man has chronic injuries that like he shouldn't be doing stunts anymore. Like in the nice, like I love Keanu Reeves, but like let the man rest. Why are we doing another John Wick? And then I saw your thing of like, what if this is him fighting in hell? And I was like, is this the closest we're gonna get to Constantine again?
I like the idea of John Wick 5 being in hell and it ending with him being Doom guy. Imagine. I mean, John Wick films end up being a prequel to Doom.
Ends with him getting sent to heaven.
Imagine.
Gets to see his dog again.
We've had another spin-off for John Wick announced called Kane, starring Donnie Yen, and it's going to be directed by Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen, of course, a legend of martial arts films.
I think that's going
to... This John Wick franchise is breathing. It's not dying anytime soon.
They also announced there's going to be a prequel anime movie.
Yeah, going to Netflix, was it?
I'm not sure. Maybe. But it
so
will
I
also
assume it's
have
going to be focused
Keanu
more
Reeves
on
as John Wick 47.
I assume it's going to be focused more on when he was actually a hitman before
Apparently,
he retired and
it's
then
him
came back.
fighting his way like out of something through all the people, like the heads of the table or whatever.
So I've only seen like the first half of the first John Wick film. I hold my hands up. It's on the list. People don't believe this list exists. It does. It's in my head. Basically, every film ever made is on the list. But yeah, cool to see that. Nice to know that franchise is doing well, and people seem excited for everything they're doing. It doesn't seem. It's always difficult to tell sometimes when they're just beating a franchise with a stick, Fast and Furious, or they're actually like think there's something to do there. This feels like they actually think there's something to do there.
Yes, my worry is I think John Wick 5 will be the deciding film. Like, well, if the story could be great and it works, or this could be the one where it's like, okay, we've huffed the copium to keep this going too much. Like,
yeah, you should have given up. Four was a great ending. People just pretend 5 didn't happen when they discuss it in 10 years, 15 years time. Dynamic Duo. The ballsy animated hybrid project that was announced about the Robins as young boys apparently had some test footage shown off. All I've seen is people losing their mind about how cool it was.
Yeah,
apparently it's like pure puppetry with like touch-ups. All I've seen is people going, it was amazing. I've never seen anything like it. And I'm like, okay, cool. You're not giving me anything. Like when someone's seen something indescribable and you're like, I need you to describe it to me. I need to understand what you've seen. All I'm seeing is people going, it was so good. It was amazing.
Yeah, I saw similar things about like the puppetry was insane. So
it was something that we both, being, for want of a better word, nerds for film people trying things. Seeing a bunch of people who would attend an event like CinemaCon get a teaser like test footage and just go, oh my god, that was insane, I've never seen anything like it, gets me excited. And then
we got Superman.
Last reveal. Oh, go on.
Well, there was the Superman footage, the extended cut of from what people have described as an extended of the trailer. Presumably this is what they've attached to the Minecraft movie. So that's one way to sell tickets for a movie that flopped.
Old school style.
But yeah, from the people that were there, apparently the vibe of this film is great. They are nailing it. They got to see actually in the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, apparently the door was S-shaped, which they were pretty happy with. Got to see the Superbots coming over and helping Superman after Crypto dragged him to the fortress.
Yeah, so
people are excited.
Yeah, it potentially could slap this film.
We're getting very close to me sending James Gunn daily tweets asking for the second trailer, to be honest. I'm very excited for July. Jurassic World looks good. Fantastic Four looks good. Superman looks good. I just need more trailers.
They're making us wait.
They are, and I'm getting sick of it. Now, something we discussed previously, the Star Wars on Disney Plus has done a couple of anthology series, Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire. Tales of the Jedi we both loved. Tales of the Empire we thought was a bit so-so.
Yeah.
But the concept, we thought there's a lot that can be done there.
Yes. And
Tales of the Underworld.
Yes. Back when Tales of the Empire came out, we both, I think, had liked opposite episodes more for different reasons.
Yeah.
But it didn't hit as well as Tales of the Jedi. I was like, something that would be really cool would be Tales of the Bounty Hunter, and we get Boba and maybe like Cad Bane or Yondu or something like that. We get some more stories there. And then, today, out of nowhere, they're just like, Tales of the Underworld's going to follow Ventress and Cad Bane. And the trailer for it looks like this has me way more hyped than the Tales of the Empire one did.
I think that is completely fair. I'm not quite as excited for this as I was Tales of the Jedi, because Count Dooku and Ahsoka are like two of my favourite characters. I love them. But this could be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, Cad Bane, everyone loves. Like, he is sick.
He is that guy.
And getting to see what Ventress was up to, essentially between leaving and then her appearance in Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to get a little bit of a in-between to find out what she was up to as a bounty hunter. So, yeah, I mean, it has me hyped for some Star Wars.
I would like to see them recover this concept and get back to closer to what the first season was like.
Yes. Agreed.
If they continue on the downward slope, though, I'm going to have to ask them to pull the concept off life support and focus on more seasons of Visions.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's a cool little reveal. Obviously coming out May the 4th, because when else would you release something? And we'll cover it when it comes out, I'm sure. It'll be, I think once again, it's 3 episodes for each character.
Probably, yeah.
And they'll be like 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, they're usually quite little short ones, so.
Yeah, I think that was one of our issues with Tales of the Empire. They felt even shorter. I'd kind of be happy for them to bump them up to like 12 minutes an episode and actually feel like a bit more happens.
We'll have to wait and see.
But that is it for us this week.
Yes.
Thanks so much for hanging out. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.